And then we have here the moon goddess.
Strong women.
The restaurant world it's a quote-unquote a man's world.
Yeah.
It's tough because I've had to prove myself that I'm a female, but I'm strong enough to deal with the bigwigs.
It's been a fight, but a good fight, and I am successful. I'm here to prove it.
They're taking over Verona's food scene.
This takes me back to my childhood. We call it baladi polo.
That's right.
But before success, they dealt with struggles.
Do you remember the day when you knew that you just couldn't go back again?
Well, it was after the revolution.
I started from the very bottom, making empanadas while I was in culinary school.
Join us as we cook and dine with the amazing women of Verona here on Restaurant Hunter. Welcome to Restaurant Hunter, where we're tracking down the best places to eat in New Jersey. I'm your host, Christine Sloan, and this half hour, we're in Verona, an Essex County township that used to struggle to compete with neighboring dining scenes. But that is changing thanks to some women restaurateurs. Later, we're trying what else? Empanadas at Empanada Lady Cafe. Then making a bacon-wrapped trout with the popular chef and owner of Ariane Kitchen and Bar. But first, the food at her restaurant is inspired by her Persian upbringing, Zaffaron Grill. The decor inside Zaffaron Grill is meticulous, from what's on the walls to the place settings on the tables. For owner Sudie Nelson, the choices are symbolic, including the name of her Verona restaurant.
The zaffaron means saffron. That's the saffron spice in Persian.
It's the spice of royals.
Saffron's native to Iran, Sudie's homeland.
Those murals on the wall are basically saffron flowers, and each pistil becomes the spice saffron. Each flower, you may have one or two of those pistils, so it requires hours of basically picking them in order to come up with an ounce of it. Although it's very potent, but it has a very subtle taste, so you can't really taste it, but you can smell it. You know it's in the food without actually tasting it.
Sudie's description of the most expensive spice in the world, also symbolic of her life as an Iranian exile in America. Iran's close to her heart, but she hasn't gone back since coming to the U.S. in 1975.
I had finished my college, so I came here to get my MBA.
In 1979, Sudie took refuge in the U.S. when Ayatollah Khomeini's Islamic Revolution swept through Iran, stifling women's rights and forcing them to wear scarves in public.
Do you remember the day when you knew that you just couldn't go back again?
Well, it was after the revolution, and when Khomeini went back to Iran, I had already been politically a little, informed about what he was about, and I couldn't believe that a lot of educated women particularly walked in the streets and asked for him to come. And so I knew that that is going to change.
Sudie's mom, a strong woman, well-versed in the arts and poetry, fled Iran with Sudie's sister, leaving everything they owned behind. It's an experience Sudie and I share. Born in California to an American dad and Persian mom, I spent part of my childhood in Iran, also leaving with my family right before the revolution with almost nothing.
It was so modernized at that time, pre-revolution.
Absolutely.
And to me, the Iran that I remember was extraordinary. It was such a beautiful country.
I was an athlete, I was a high diver, I believe it or not, I played basketball, and it was co-ed, right? We always, practiced with guys, and Iran has beautiful mountains, so we hiked with, as groups mixed, so I didn't have the restrictions that there is. I do believe that women in Iran and their strength and their conviction and resolve is what has kept the country from going further into radicalism.
It's Sudie's conviction and resolve that have made her an American success story.
I was in the financial industry for over 32 years, in a number of capacities, as a senior vice president, as a managing director.
Zaffaron Grill, the latest chapter in Sudie's story.
What I do like about your restaurant, it's an American bistro with a Persian influence, because we don't see that very much. I mean, it's either you see a Persian restaurant or it's not a Persian restaurant. This is very different. What was the inspiration behind that?
I get energized by basically creating new and different things. And food is something that, as you know, to our culture is very, very central to our culture. And everything happens around food.
Persian-inspired dishes at Zafaran Grill include chicken kebab served with white basmati rice, topped with another layer of saffron-infused rice. Persian flatbread called taftoon, made in the restaurant's clay oven, traditionally how bread is made in Iran. And Persian pickles, better known as khiyar, which translates into sour cucumbers.
Persian food is actually, it has very subtle flavors.
A lot of stews, a lot of
kebabs, the rice, many different types of rice, and it's very regional. So in northern part of Iran, by the Caspian Sea, they make 144 different types of dish with fish alone.
Zafaran Grill chef Luis Ramirez is French trained, but uses Sudi's recipes for the Persian-inspired entrees.
What is your cooking philosophy?
I like to, when people see a dish, goes through their eyes and then to their stomach. So I try to focus on that it looks good and also has a lot of flavor.
The dish close to Sudi's heart, Nana's braised lamb shank with fava bean and dill rice, named in honor of her mother who passed away before Zafaran Grill opened.
Nana's favorite lamb is the recipe I used to make for my mother. She liked lamb, she didn't like the pungent flavor, and so I would make it for her, and it was the only time she would eat it, and everybody called her Nana. So when I told Luis about it, he said, we have to put that on the menu and we have to call it Nana's favorite now. So it's really a tribute to my mother, but it's all from Luis that we have it on the menu.
First we start by sauteing some onions, garlic, then we put the lamb, then we put cumin and turmeric. We sear it with the onion so it grabs the flavor. Then we cook it for an hour, and after an hour, it's the second step. We put a tomato paste, saffron dust, and dried Persian limes, and then we leave it for another hour and a half. So the total process is around 3 hours.
How do you make the fava bean rice?
We saute them. The rice we do separate. We do some dill, we toss it, and then we put the fava beans on top. Then we just put some au jus on top of the lamb shank.
And this is the
Bogali
fava bean,
polo.
bogali polo. Really nice. You know what I really like about this is not only the fact that the meat just sort of falls off the bones. That's really Persian, isn't it?
Yes.
The meat has to be superb. I love the subtleness of the sauce. It's not so Persian so much. The dried Persian lime gives it a little bit of a soury taste, but it's very subtle. Because I think Americans have a real problem with that really sour taste. We like that sweet and sour taste to it.
Right.
The rice is beautiful. It tastes wonderful. I mean, this takes me back to my childhood. We call it bogali polo.
That's right.
The fava bean rice is very special. It's hard to find a fava bean that's perfect for
That's
the rice.
true.
And the saffron in there is beautiful. It makes the dish look wonderful. It's delicious.
Thank you.
This dish kind of took me back.
A taste of Iran in Verona, thanks to a woman who embodies the American dream. Zafaran Grill is open 6 days a week. They're closed on Mondays. They also have a Saturday and Sunday brunch. All right, don't go away. Still more ahead here on Restaurant Hunter.
This dish reminds me of like a camping trip for some reason. I don't know why, it just does.
But first, we asked you for your favorite Verona restaurants. Here's what you had to say.
My favorite place to eat in Verona is the Avenue Bistro, which is right on Bloomfield Avenue, one of the best places in town, so it's very, very good.
My favorite place to eat in Verona is Frank Anthony's Gourmet Italian. Food was great, the staff was very friendly, nice location, good prices.
My favorite place to eat in Verona is the Bagel Witch Diner. The service and the food is great.
Hey, New Jersey, Restaurant Hunter is on social media. Like us on Facebook at Restaurant Hunter NJ. Follow us on Twitter at RestHuntNJ. Share your dining tips, get show previews, and view segments. Chef Ariane Duarte, a powerhouse of a chef here at her restaurant, Ariane Kitchen and Bar. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you, Christine. It's great to have you here.
So, what are you making?
So I'm making a trout BLT. So the first step we like to do is roast our tomatoes because they take the longest. So pretty simple. These are plum tomatoes. If you have beefsteak tomatoes, you use beefsteak, whatever you have.
Beautiful.
Just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, a little salt, a little pepper.
Nice.
So we're gonna put it in the oven, about 20 minutes, 400 degrees. You want it really high so it gets that caramelization. The sugars come out in the tomatoes.
So while the tomatoes are roasting in the oven, let's move on to the sauce.
Yes, it's a little rich, but it really balances out the whole dish. It's very herbaceous. I like that word.
Herbaceous. I like that word too.
And again, what I always like to say, use what you like. I'm using a little tarragon, a little bit of chive. This dish reminds me of like a camping trip for some reason. I don't know why, it just does.
Yeah, it's rustic.
It really
It's
is.
rustic.
And I mean, you can even bring a little tartar sauce if you don't have it, if you don't want to make the sauce.
Get
So
some
this
lemon
is
thyme.
lemon thyme, a little green onion for a little pungency. And we're going to just zest
Zest a little lemon.
a little lemon. And then we're gonna add the juice.
Beautiful.
I just like to kind of just squeeze
Yeah.
it over the bowl.
Prevent those seeds from
Seeds
going
from
in.
going in,
You
absolutely.
don't need all those fancy gadgets to prevent it. No, just use your hands. It's
And
cheaper.
yeah, just a little mayo,
Awesome.
a little creme fraiche. If you don't have creme fraiche, sour cream,
Yogurt?
yogurt,
Okay.
I mean, cottage cheese.
Anything.
Anything.
Oh, that's looking good.
Yeah. Let's do a little salt and pepper.
Nice. Got the sauce.
Yes.
Now we're gonna move on to my favorite part, which is stuffing the trout.
Stuffing and the wrapping.
So we've got the roasted tomatoes, and you've got the trout and the bacon, and we're gonna start assembling
We're
this.
ready to go.
And of course, I filleted the trout, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's a joke.
You did a great job. Great job getting those little pin bones out.
I got everything out.
Such a challenge,
All
I
right,
know.
I've been in your kitchen all night. It was a lot of work. Okay,
So we have our beautiful fillets, and we are going to always season. Seasoning it's a layering thing.
Trout's big in Jersey, trout
Yes,
fishing here.
yes.
What do you look for when you buy it or bring it home after fishing?
Always clear eyes.
Okay.
It's really important. You want it nice and firm. And obviously smell too. So. And you know what?
You don't want that real fishy smell.
No, gosh, no. So we have our arugula,
All right.
and we're going to take a couple of our tomatoes. Yeah.
All right.
And then we're gonna put our other fillet. And I like to do, I go opposite, the thicker side to a tail end and then the tail end to the thicker
Oh, I see. So you
side.
flip-flop
Yeah,
it.
just for more even consistency of cooking. And then we just
wrapping
kind
that
of wrap,
up.
take our bacon. I don't even think I'm gonna need all of this, but people love their bacon.
That
We're just
looks
gonna
nice.
roll it,
Wow.
roll it up. There we go.
Beautiful. And you're gonna sear it.
We're gonna just sear it slowly. It's gonna take about maybe 8 minutes, 4 minutes on each side. And when I'm finished searing it, I like to just hit it with a little bit of fresh lemon juice.
Wonderful. I can't wait to taste this. Look at that. Oh my gosh. A little bit of the sauce that we made. I'm gonna tell you, the bacon, salty element to this whole dish, which I love, pairs so well with the zesty, lemony taste in the trout, just beautifully cooked. It's absolutely so delicious, and just wrapping it in the bacon. The arugula, to me, is really key in this. It is like a healthy version of a BLT. I love it. I love it. It's so good.
Well, instead of the bread, you have the trout.
Absolutely. You're an amazing chef, honestly.
you.
You used to own a place in Montclair, but then you moved to Verona. This is where you grew up.
Yes.
So how long have you had this place?
It'll be 4 years coming up this November.
What was the inspiration behind this restaurant? I mean, it is a bar as well.
It is. For this restaurant, the inspiration was just really more casual, but still hip. and still where I could do my creations of my food and what I did in my last restaurant.
When you started, I'm sure it was tough getting in the business. I mean, this is a male-dominated business.
Yeah, and I started really professionally back in the 80s when it was really male-dominated. My CIA, I graduated in upstate New York. Literally, my class had, I think, 3 women in it.
Wow.
It's been a fight, but a good fight, and you know, I am successful. I'm here to prove it, and I love what I do, so.
Was it tough getting into the restaurant business? I know a lot of times, you know, women in this industry, you have to open up your own restaurant to really find that success because it's really hard to move your way up.
Yeah, and to be your own boss is a wonderful thing. I mean, I'm gonna say my mentor chefs are all male, and I mean, without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know, for me, it's, you are what you make you.
Yeah.
My mother raised a tough woman. Jersey. Yeah, I'm Jersey, born and bred through and through, and it really comes through.
Hey, thank you so much. This dish was incredible.
Thank you.
The conversation was incredible.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you again.
Absolutely.
And thank you for sharing the recipe. It's going to be on our Facebook page at Restaurant Hunter NJ. All right, don't go away. Still more ahead here on Restaurant Hunter. The empanadas have their own personality.
They have their own personality, just like me.
We're eating our way around Verona, and our last stop continues our female-owned restaurant theme. This place started out as a food truck, now offering Latin favorites. We're at Empanada Lady Cafe. Retro Caribbean-themed posters and a restored 1950s refrigerator are the first things you notice when you walk into Empanada Lady Cafe.
Well, when they're all good, you just don't know which one to get.
But at the counter, the assortment of empanadas, fried Latin pastries with sweet or savory fillings, are what stand out.
We love their empanadas here. They're delicious.
It's really local, so it's like easy to come to.
We come here like every day. It's pretty much go-to.
Yes, medium tray of minis, 60 people.
Cynthia Soto is the owner of Empanada Lady Cafe. Her empanadas influenced by her mother, whose background is both Dominican and Puerto Rican.
Growing up is what we had for breakfast. It was something quick and easy my mom used to whip up, and traditionally, of course, it has all that yummy stuff inside.
Cynthia opened the cafe about a year ago, but the journey to Verona, almost a decade in the making.
I was in corporate world for a very long time. I want to say about 15, 16 years. I was in the fashion industry.
So when did you decide to switch careers?
Actually, I was sort of forced out of it. 2009 recession had a lot to do with it. So I decided to go back to school and chase what was trendy at the time, which was cooking. I started from the very bottom, making empanadas while I was in culinary school. Started at the farmers markets. Then I had my own food truck, opened up my own food truck.
Cynthia still operates the food truck.
We're very well known for the girl with the tray and the empanadas and the polka dots, so we've made a brand name in our logo.
She sells the same empanadas at the cafe. Favorites like pulled pork and barbecue chicken and cheddar with chipotle sauce.
How do you determine what flavor?
Actually, other than the beef and the chicken being traditional, the other ones just happen to be created at a whim. I've used my culinary background to put together different types of trendy fusion empanadas. We have our vegetarian, which is the kale with sweet plantains and white cheese. That just happened to just mix in my plate, and I said, wait a minute, that sounds good.
I ordered the mini empanada sampler. It was delicious, very good. It was 2 beef, 2 chicken, and 2 spinach.
But the most popular empanada here, the beef and potato.
She is a heavy hitter. Everybody buys it by the tons. So my ground beef it has some secrets, so I can't tell you everything, but the great spices and the base of any typical Dominican, perhaps Cuban and Puerto Rican base of any meat is a sofrito. The onions and garlic and fresh peppers and all the spices, the salt and peppers, a sofrito and tomato base. Brown it in the pot, let it simmer, throw in the fresh potatoes, and just let that cook. Wait until it cools off. The dough is already cut out for us and ready to be assembled. The beef and potato has a twist.
I should try the sauce?
Of course, that's our secret sauce.
Oh.
How good is that?
Wow.
A little spicy, not too much.
No, I love the sauce.
The sauce
It's
is
fantastic.
great.
I love the crust on this. It's like a puff pastry
Puff
type.
pastry, it's light,
like
it's
a pie.
thin.
Well, the sofrito really makes it.
Yes,
It does. It adds that tomato flavor, the
Right.
onions.
Right.
The beef is beautifully cooked. I love the fact that you didn't make the potato really small. You actually get a real bite
Right,
from
you
it.
need some texture. Traditionally, growing up, the beef empanadas had the raisins and the eggs and the olives inside. That's how we grew up eating it.
That's more of a Puerto Rican
More
influence?
Puerto Rican, a little Dominican influence, but with such a diverse in this area, we couldn't just keep to that, so I just did straight up.
All over Latin America, you can find empanadas. What's the difference between an empanada, let's say, from Colombia, and Peru or the Dominican Republic?
Colombian empanadas are great. I grew up with them as well. The difference between their dough and ours is that their dough is corn-based and potato-based. But ours, as far as Caribbeans, Dominicans, Cubans, Puerto Rican, we tend to a more a flour-based dough. Thin, light, and crispy.
So, you know, what I really admire about you is that you actually picked up and left the corporate world.
Oh boy,
and
I
started
did.
this.
I did.
Was it scary?
Super scary.
Yeah.
I had friends tell me, just do it. I get to work for myself. It's harder on me. It's hard. It is harder. I knew I wasn't gonna go anywhere, and that's when I decided to do something like this. It's just as tough because the culinary world, the chef world, the restaurant world it's a quote unquote a man's world.
Yeah.
It's tough because I had to prove myself that I'm a female, but I'm strong enough to deal with the bigwigs.
What do you think needs to be done in this country so that, you know, more women are able to own their own businesses?
Set aside your fear. There are a lot of resources out there for us women. You just have to find it. You just have to fight a little harder for it and not be afraid and develop thick skin.
Strength and perseverance. What makes Cynthia Soto's Empanada Lady Cafe special. Empanada Lady Cafe is open 6 days a week. Don't forget, we're on Facebook and on Twitter at Restaurant Hunter NJ on Facebook and at Rest Hunt NJ on Twitter. We'd like to thank all the restaurants we visited this half hour: Zaffaron Grill, Ariane Bar and Kitchen, and Empanada Lady Cafe. And remember, you'll always have a place at the table here on Restaurant Hunter. I'm Christine Sloan. Until next time, New Jersey.